Ladies and gentlemen, this is JoeJinMovieSoAwesome. I'm Joe.
I'm Won-Jin.
Today we're going to talk about the passing of Mr. Mark Margolis.
Rest in peace.
Who starred as Hector Salamanca in the breaking TV series Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So spoilers ahead on anything he has starred in, which will include Scarface as well. I think Goodfellas. I mean, not Goodfellas, but Godfather 2. Here we go.
All right. You know, I first came across Mark Margolis in a very unsuspecting movie. It was Ace Ventura.
Oh, right.
Because he was the landlord.
Yeah.
And he says, Ventura. And then, you know, Jim Carrey says, like, yes, Satan? Oh, I thought you sounded like someone else.
Yeah.
And then he suspects that he's keeping pets in his apartment and blah,
yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
now I remember.
Yeah, so my first impression of Mark Margolis was more of a comic.
You know what's crazy? He looks the same as he did then. He does later.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a way of like aging fine, though.
And well, not aging. Well, that too. But I think another major factor is, you know, no offense, but you know, the receding hairline.
The receding hairline. Yeah. I mean, he is definitely. I mean, he himself, I think, is a character actor. So, I mean, I think you use that term when an actor is not the lead or the second lead, but is always noticeable. I think he always played that role.
Yeah.
And with, I think, Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, I think a lot of fans will agree that, man, he played such an iconic role. Like, I mean, I don't think the show would be the same without Hector Salamanca.
That's true. He played such a huge part in Breaking Bad and also in Better Call Saul.
You know why he was revived in Better Call Saul? I think people may differ, but for me, like season 4 of Breaking Bad was the best. Like, and
could you remind us what season 4 was about? Because I always get confused.
That's when Gus gets offed.
Oh, the wheelchair thing, yeah.
The explosion. And the funny thing is, though, like, I think the writers didn't intend it that way, but they written it really well so that it became this beef between Gus and Hector. And, you know, that was a really big tension besides, of course, Walter White.
Is that when the flashback was introduced, you know, of like the young Gus and young Hector Salamanca?
I'm not sure if it was season 4 or season 3 on that one.
Then we kind of understand why Gus has such a why he holds such a grudge against Hector.
But you got to remember, Hector was introduced before Gus, and he plays this like major antagonist role more and more as it goes on, and he was written so well, like so unique. Like, he has no dialogue, by the way.
And I mean, I think it's one of his best performances because he's able to convey his feelings and messages through just like grinning, mostly, and just jamming on that bell thing,
which is mostly menace and intent to kill. Like, you can tell he's saying. He's not saying nice things in his head when he makes a face. You know, you can tell he's not saying nice things about you, and you know, it almost feels like his eyes says, "I wish I could get off this wheelchair," kind of thing. Like,
I will stab you right here.
Yeah. And I mean, he's like, including Better Call Saul, he's one of the best written like villains. Like, I think through the whole show, because the great thing about Better Call Saul was it added a lot of dimensions to him too. You know,
especially with his interaction with Nacho.
Yeah, and his family members too, because you know, I think Breaking Bad was good in the sense that, you know, we see glimpse of the man, so we go, because I think before Better Call Saul came out, Breaking Bad was good at only showing us glimpse of the villains. So it added the mystery about them. You know, and one thing going into Better Call Saul we were worried about was whether like writing more about that would help that. But it turned out it did, because the show did such a great job on the writing. Yeah. Because, I mean, Hector became even more of a three-dimensional character in Better Call Saul because he was written well. And it could have gone wrong, too. Like, sometimes, like, not knowing is better. You know how, like, let me give you an example. Like, I loved Alien when we didn't know what the fuck, like, how they were made. And then, like...
Good point.
Alien versus Covenant kind of ruined it for me when we turned out it's like an evil AI that made that. I was like, I thought you were more of a, you know, like a natural evil force.
Yeah, and it was more interesting when they were unknown, basically.
Yeah. Unknowable.
Yeah, so much was still mysterious.
Yeah, the crazy thing was, like, no matter how much you research them, you really don't get a better sense of them too, like, because you find out their physiology, their biology, but their behavior is still like unpredictable to those scientists. You know, throughout Alien, it just becomes they just become this almost like mystical force. And Hector, like humanizing Hector made him even seem more of a amazing villain. Like, remember in like, hats off to the actor, because you could tell that, like, how he looks at his like family tenderly. Like, no, he's not tender, but even his grunts towards his family is like
different.
Yeah, a little bit more loving, like, less impatient, and it's a running gag too. You know, do you remember in Better Call Saul, like Hector calls on Don Salamanca? And he tries to bring Gus and like.
Oh, you mean Don Eladio?
Yeah, Don Eladio.
Don Eladio.
So sorry, Don Eladio.
Steve Bauer.
And try to have this meeting about, you know, like trying to allege that Gus killed his favorite nephew. But like reading the letter was amazing because you could tell that those two loyal cousins sat next to their dear uncle and then like. Wrote it down patiently, every word.
With like
the bell.
Yeah, calculating the number of the bells, like ding 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 ding.
Word. Yeah, I mean, and he was such a force too. You know, because one of the best scenes in season 1 is when it's revealed that he's not an idiot. He's trying to signal to his least favorite nephew that these guys are trying to fuck you up. And the acting was done great. Yeah. And you know, he's a New Yorker. I saw I saw his interviews and he speaks perfect English. Like,
I mean, I knew that from Ace Ventura, but then I saw him in Scarface. Yeah. And then in that movie he speaks Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's probably part Italian, right? It's really hard to pin down like where he's from.
Yeah, I also have this feeling that he's closer to Italian than being Spanish, or I don't know, Hispanic.
No, but you never know, Won-Jin. He could be Cuban for all we know.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, like I think so. Like, but his name Margolis kind of seems Italian to me. Seems Italian. But you know, but he plays it like Scarface. Like that role was also iconic too, because you remember how he stands next to like the boss. Like when we first introduced, he just stands like this, wearing this Chinese like, and then later we see him in the helicopter. Like he plays that hitman role really well. Yeah.
The only line I remember from that movie of him is "Cállate." Cállate. Shut up. Oh, shut up. Cállate. Yeah. You know how Scarface. I mean, Tony's having that internal conflict about killing children. Yeah,
I mean, you can tell of an actor's chop when you can like express what kind of person that person is, like through body language. And you know, in Scarface, he plays a total psychopath.
It's like cállate.
Yeah, like he doesn't like his That scene was great because that scene humanized
Tony Montana. Yeah, that's right.
Because I mean, Tony Montana is not a good guy.
But at least he has a line.
Exactly. But you can tell that like this fucker doesn't give a fuck. Like,
he was only concerned about the timing of the button.
He has psycho eye and trying to get the mission done. You know, no moral ethical concerns there. And so like he played that well. And then Hector, like, remember, like one of my favorite scenes is when after Nacho dies. Like I love it when he just looks at the corpse and like he's waiting for his nephews to.
They'll hand him the gun.
Yeah, hold him up and take him there to shoot the body.
That was amazing detail.
Yeah,
it was completely unnecessary, but he just has to get there. And shoot his corpse.
And I think Better Call Saul showed a good chance for him to act because when he's first introduced, like he goes up to Mike like a harmless old man. But later, remember that scene where the family is waiting for him?
Yeah.
The scene was great because they intentionally made the light really dark, and suddenly he's not wearing that like good old man shirt anymore. He's wearing this red blazer. He's sitting down arrogantly and saying, "I don't give a fuck about the gun." So like his mask is off, and we see this total gangster saying, and then his laugh was so good. Yeah, how did you survive so long with a mouth like that? You know, and another great scene was when his nephew recalled the story about how he got the bell.
Oh, the one with Lalo.
Yeah. Lalo's like, Tio,
remember that?
Yeah, and he's loving it. Fuck yeah.
And they're talking about all these like really sinister stories.
Heinous crime. But they're
yeah.
Like, I guess the Salamanca we know what they talk about during their barbecue. And like when they're barbecuing, Lalo's like, Tio,
remember how we grilled that guy's hand?
No, remember Caesar? You know how we burned him? Like you can imagine Hector laughing.
I mean, they light up reminiscing about very different things from ordinary family.
Like murders. You know, with like his glee. Like, you know, and he, like, when he is in the jail, he has a tick. So, like, you know what I wonder, though? I wonder, like, what happened to his face after, like, the director says cut. Like, okay.
Thank God.
And then like he plays that paraplegic really well. You know, that was a great scene.
That'd be hilarious. Like the moment the director says cut, he's like in perfect New York accent. He's like, can anybody get some water here, please?
Yeah. Water.
Yeah, give me one of those carbonated waters.
Yeah. He has that accent. He's definitely a New Yorker, right? Oh man. So many amazing moments. Like his, like almost every scene with him is memorable.
Yeah, and it makes me sad because he's passed away. And remember when we talked about like a spin-off, like the El Salamancas or Las Salamancas? Yeah, the Salamancas.
Yeah,
that would have been a very interesting show.
Yeah, I mean, like, thanks to Lalo and Hector, that just became like, because even by Better Call Saul, don't you wonder like, why is this uncle raising all his nephews? Like, where are your brothers? Did they all get clapped? And like, and you know, that's one of the great things about especially Better Call Saul. Like, it adds so much dimensions to each character. Like, I bet there are like Harvard graduates writing about like Kim's like characterization.
Yeah,
because you know like. Because like the show never gives us a clear answer on why they break bad and then return to good, while Saul can't help himself. I mean, I think Walter White's was actually much more straightforward because of the cancer thing. So we kind of empathize with him more automatically because he has this tragic backstory. But one of the great things about Better Call Saul and Kim was the creators took such a risk.
Yeah, and it took so long to unfold all these.
Yeah.
And they took a lot of time telling us that story.
Yeah.
And it gives us such dimension. And I think it gives even more dimensions than a lot of the characters we saw from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I agree. But what I was trying to say was because the characters are so complicated, the Salamancas being gleefully evil stands out. Like, that's the great thing about Better Call Saul, you know what I mean? Like, because in Breaking Bad, they're all bad people. So it's less. But what I liked about the Salamanca family in, like, Better Call Saul is that they don't have, like, at least outwardly, even Lalo, I mean, they're worried about life and death, but they don't have any qualms about, like, these psychological things. Like, because even Mike has it. Because, you know, because Mike's Ehrmantraut with the daughter, with, like, his scenes with daughter-in-law, we get the sense that he's pretending he's okay. He's covering his pain. And he's turning into these, like, almost like these Salamancas. But, like, the great thing about the Salamancas is, right from the get-go, they don't give a fuck. They're like, what qualm? Shoot him in the head.
And it kind of gives us a clear picture of what being a Salamanca means.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would say they're evil. Like, in our definition. Because the other characters are bad. even Mike from the start. We like Mike because he's good at his job, but he's not a good person. He took bribes. He killed those cops.
He's done a lot of bad things.
Unjustifiedly. He does a lot of violence, but to him, he has a code of ethics. But like the Salamancas, you can tell, like even Lalo, as charming as he is, when he killed that printer boy, you could tell, like, okay, yeah, they give zero fucks.
And like, you mentioned Mike. We can clearly see that, yes, Mike did a lot of bad things, and he is a bad guy, but we can clearly see he's not evil after seeing his struggle and guilt after killing that German engineer.
Yeah.
But imagine Lalo clipping him.
No, he's whistling in the jail. He's like, no.
He would go back home and sleep like a baby and make an omelette the next morning and just forget about the whole thing.
No, even Lalo and Hector, both of them, they have the most violent death ever. And their attitude is, what's funny? They both smile when they die.
Yeah, that's right. Especially Lalo.
Like, Lalo is like smiling through his teeth like, that was funny, Gus. And Hector like, fuck you!
I finally take you with
muerta, dude! Fuck you! Like, so like, they're almost avatars of violence. Like, they love it. And they don't care. And even one of the reasons why Mike wanted to fuck with Hector is he just kills an innocent with no reasons, right? And but another great scene from Mark Margolis is when he's denied. He was trying to fuck with Gus, but it's denied by Don Eladio. And then he finally goes off. He's like, I made this cartel. I am the cartel. Fuck you. Fuck Don Eladio. And then he goes for a heart attack. And it has amazing scenes. Like his McDonald's scenes was really great too. Yeah, I don't like smoking cigar, acting like a complete asshole. My God, like every scene Mr. Margolis was in the Breaking Bad series universe was amazing. Was amazing.
Yeah,
I think it will be his the role that he's remembered for. Because
I mean, even before Breaking Bad, he did have some very
he had a lot of credits.
Significant roles.
Yeah.
But this really kind of polished his career. I gotta say.
Like I think because the show intentionally or unintentionally allowed him to show so much dimensions to his acting too. Like, because he's so human, though, right? Because remember when he gets pissed off? No, he only needed to do the two! And then he gets so fucking pissed off when Tuco fucks somebody up in jail. He's going to be forever! He plays such a mob boss, so well. No, and then his face, too. He was such a convincing, patriarch to the Salamanca family. He had a charisma, and you because if you think about it, his nephews are all terrifying people, individually. They're very, very terrifying people, but they all submit to him.
Yeah, and it's especially impressive because Mark Margolis himself is not a very imposing physique. Unlike Don Eladio, Stephen Bauer is big. He's gotten a lot more buff since Scarface. You can clearly see that. Not only is his status as the mob boss scary, but also instinctively, his physique itself is quite threatening.
No, but the way Eladio is threatening and Hector is threatening is a little different. Because Eladio is charming, but he's scary because he can, in 2 seconds, that can turn into something else. And then he's like, okay. If he's smiling and laughing, and he tells the waiters if you spill any of this, I'm gonna cut your hand off. And you know that's not a joke. Yeah, you can tell he's fucking dead serious. But the great thing about Hector is he's just always pissed off. He's like, whatever, fuck. Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. He's not in a good mood all the time. And then you told me once that you could tell he was a very hateful person.
Yes.
He's just always deeply hateful. Because the only time we see him joyful is when he causes pain. You know that? Every time he's happy, he's causing pain.
Or reminding himself of, pain he inflicted on others.
Yeah, because remember when he even killed Gus's boyfriend, like he's gleeful about it. The only reason you were like, he's loving it. But the other time he's just pissed off, like whatever. Like so, you know, I think Mark Margolis, the actor, conveyed that really well.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Mark Margolis.
Yeah,
we're gonna miss you.
Yeah, this is you will always be remembered for hundreds of years. You know, because of the great Breaking Bad and Better Call series, I think, and I think Better Call Saul will continue to be studied. Yeah, like even more than Breaking Bad. It's almost a more of a character study than even a thriller.
There's so much detail.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't say me and Won-Jin covered every part of Mr. Mark Margolis Uver, but if you have a memorable role about him that you remember from other movies, please leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much. This has been a special episode, a big tribute to him. Next week we'll be back with another great podcast. Thank you so much, our loyal, deeply loyal 21 subscribers. You show us that you make our life meaningful. and your retention rate is amazing. Thank you so much. This has been JoeJinMovieSoAwesome. I was Joe.
I was Won-Jin.
We'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Salamanca blood. Salamanca.
Sangre por sangre.